Christ, this game drags out so much. Now we're in the 60s.
Oh, I guess now
Well, to be fair, plenty of
it's
Ace Attorney
time
games
for
go
my
that
show
well.
instead.
Well,
Yep.
no, that's not even the thing, Dwibs. It doesn't. I don't even. It's not the
Oh,
problem.
wait.
The amount
Here
of
we go.
parts of the playthrough is not the problem. But I'll
7
get
years
into it.
ago, Detention Center.
7 years ago, Detention Center visitor's room.
Hello. What strange sight doth mine eyes behold?
I know, right? What a
I
day
say
it's
be
been.
nay.
Excuse me?
Excuse me, motherfucker. Oh, this is all. This is basically the Teo show. Okay.
2 men on either side of single transparent pane.
It is quite a visual wonder.
Stop trying
Yet
to
it
sound
seems
deep.
fickle
You're
fate
not.
has witched size, so to speak.
Stop trying to sound deep. You're not.
It's his stick anyway.
Yeah. The forger of fakes walks freely.
I told you I didn't forge that thing, you...
Well, how's he supposed to know?
While the innocent languishes within these plexiglass confines.
Innocent? You're a pretentious twat. That's what you're guilty of.
We'd also be thankful they let you keep your stuff.
There's been no proof that I forged anything.
Yeah, sweetie, they all say like that.
He got disbarred anyway, so...
Nor proof that he took the life for my dear mentor.
True. Yeah, we technically don't know whether or not he actually killed anyone.
Well,
If they really wanted to go for the controversial trial, then they could have gone for an O.J. Simpson thing.
these
what
chains
now?
cannot hold me for long.
Well, okay, Joe. Well, think of it like this, Joe. If they wanted to have some kind of big controversial trial that really has long-term repercussions, they could have done something that's similar to the O.J. Simpson trial.
I can see why that could have worked, but that may not have fit the context to which, let's not forget, the executive meddling had to do with that they were trying to represent the new jury system that was coming on in Japan at the time. But I'm
Oh, so I
guessing you're
guess-
talking about the thing that had repercussions on Phoenix's
So-
career, then sure, I guess.
So, considering Phoenix's narration, I guess he's becoming a hobbit.
That reminds me, Joe.
What
That
should
reminds
we
me, Joe.
discuss?
Imagine Johnny Cochran as an Ace Attorney character.
That would actually be interesting. By the way, if anyone's seen The People vs. O.J. Simpson, that's an actually pretty good Netflix series.
Yeah, I saw it.
Uh-huh. It would just go to show how much a trial can actually strain even the victors. So who pulled the
Watch as Johnny-
trigger? Zach or Valant?
Well, that entire ordeal was
You
a
see-
mess.
You see, everybody. Phoenix is innocent, and why? Because this is Chewbacca.
Okay,
Chewbacca
that's
is a
South Park, not exactly.
Chewbacca.
Oh, God.
Joe, but the
He's using
Chewbacca,
the Chewbacca
Joe,
defense.
the Chewbacca defense is the
Right,
best
let's
defense.
see, anyway, let's see what's changed in the room.
That guard keeps stealing glances in this direction. He doesn't look as high-res as he'll look in 7 years. Actually,
my life is a lie.
Actually, come to think of it, it's a different guard who's there later, because he's black 7 years later.
Maybe the guard retired.
I guess. Hopefully he's lying on a beach somewhere. Maybe our resident magician showed him a trick or two.
No, Joe, but he's just standing near the beach entrance like he is there.
I guess old habits die hard, whether or not you're an inmate or a security guard. Smile, you're on candid camera. I just had to say it. Old habits die
Yeah, if I
hard.
recall, Phoenix says this in...
Maybe I should do a few tricks for the viewers at home.
It's kind of a running gag
Stop,
too.
Big Brother. Yeah, shame he can't look at the outside of the grating bit. Anyway, the fateful
Yeah.
trial.
I have to hand it to my partner.
It was a trick to end all ages.
He knows how to make an exit. That's talent.
Yeah. For my next trick, I shall make myself disappear. Fuck you, I got your money.
Yes, he made my attorney's badge disappear, and he never even touched it.
We get it.
Okay, that was funny.
Glory spotlight always leaves someone weeping in the
shut up, for
shadows.
fuck's sake.
Well, he's not wrong about this.
Not you, Tio.
I know.
Yeah.
Yet, very disappearance is itself a revelation.
It'll probably take 7 years to solve that. Revealing
so much
what,
that.
though?
Jover, the game itself is like on the 7 years thing real thick. You don't need...
Not just that. It's not even just that, Dwibs. It's just the fact that the game keeps acting cool, even though it isn't.
It's as good as a signed confession.
And then he hit the guard.
That's certainly been the public opinion's take on it. Yeah, usually innocent men
Anyway.
don't run.
Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I grow tired of my cage.
Don't worry, you'll be out eventually, I'm sure.
You see, the big problem is not the amount of parts that this playthrough has. The problem is that this game drags so much that it feels like it's twice as many parts as we've done.
My release is near.
Which is a shame, because as we pointed out in the last part, there are definitely parts where this game, this case in particular, does show it has some good points here and there. It's just, man, the focus was in so many different directions.
There is an idea, a sparkle for a good game here.
Yeah.
It's the
It's
problem.
buried.
Let me put it like
Yeah.
this. A lot of these problems could be solved if, first and foremost, these were all new characters. Like, if Phoenix's role was just taken up by any old disgraced lawyer or whatnot, already the story would be a lot more interesting because it doesn't mess with a pre-established character. Like, there's almost, I'm gonna say 25% of the problem fixed there. Now, the other risk could also have to do with better stuff, if the executive mandating wasn't forced on it. Like, it is so clear that this finale case was executively mandated because, okay, let's look at the finale case of Trials and Tribulations. Yeah, technically, cases 2 and 3 of the third game were more filler cases, but even then, they had some sense of connection to what the main plot, aka the stuff going on with Dahlia, was. Like, the second case was sort of a reflection of Mia helping out Phoenix, with Phoenix helping out Ron Delight. And then the third case was a reflection about Phoenix reflecting on how Dahlia betrayed him, and how he hates the reflection. Let's not also forget the running theme of masks and disguises throughout that game. Here, this case connects best to the first case, but aside from that, what does this mainly have to do with cases 2 and 3? Okay, 3, technically it has to do with Apollo learning the betterments of society and whatnot, and how the law system isn't working. But 2?
I guess too the same, considering it involves the son of a mafia crime. Maybe.
I mean, sure, yes.
But it's a stretch.
There's technically
no doubt.
Now, yes, there's technically a running theme with this game, the whole dark age of the law, and how, all your defendants are somewhat crooked people, no matter how good they actually are deep down. That's a nice theme in of itself, but it feels like the major theme here is the actual story of what happened to Phoenix, whereas...
Like I said, I honestly feel the general emotion that the script conveys is animosity, and this is reflected also in the story. This is a joyless story when you get down to it.
And not even in the fun way. I mean,
the comedy is cringe at best. I rarely get a laugh at moments.
Yeah, that's...
Trucy is the only sparkle of heartwarming moments, but
she's not used.
She's not used as much as she should, and we've just pointed out Case 3 takes the worst out of her, as the other characters as well.
That's the thing, compared to the original trilogy, since this is a story-based series, there's a lot of notable moments that'll stick with you. Here, there aren't really any. Like, anything that does stick with you is just...
I think I can give a good comparison here.
Sure.
Well, although it's mostly comic book based. This feels like the first 3 games, all of the 4 games, were written by Mark Millar. Who's Mark Millar?
Yeah.
Someone who's basically needs to be kept on a leash to write good. The moment you let him sleep, he completely fucks up.
And he'll act pretentious about it, too.
And this kind of feels like something that he will do.
Mark Millar, he was one of the guys who helmed the story of Civil War. He didn't necessarily
for
write
context
it.
He's the guy who did the comic book version of Civil War, which is atrocious. Oh, hold on. Cyclops again. Oh, Jesus.
I didn't think it would be that easy.
It never is, Phoenix.
Okay, looks like we've got a secret on our hands here.
The audience must remain forever in the audience.
You know what they say, a magician never reveals his secrets. And by God, they must mean it.
Okay.
Magic
They think the reflected glow of spotlight. There you go. A good example would be the character of Valant itself. Valant has a lot of potential here, honestly. Both in the future.
Hold on, 40. We got a Cyclops to break.
Sure. This one is actually one of the more
Not
important
to
ones.
mention, I think we've already covered the points you just covered a lot during this playthrough.
Well, to be fair, Teal does have a good point about Valant coming on, but you're right, it's
I'll
best
say
saved for later.
For the moment.
I'm flying by the seat of my pants on this one. Kind of like one of my usual trials. There must be a path leading from the evidence to the truth. Now, okay, to be fair, in cases like this, it makes sense that we would have all the evidence we have because technically we have the option of where or where not we go before this point. So, I guess Dwibs just picked the right path. To ask someone to take a life, even one not long left on this world, that's asking someone to commit murder. Why would he do that?
Yes. Our mentor was fond of dramatic movies and dramatic finales.
Oh boy, Magnify Gramarye. We're gonna learn more about that guy. And he got his wish. His life was taken. Or was it?
Yeah, it
No,
was.
it
He's
probably
dead.
was.
What if it was all an illusion, though? What weakness could be so powerful as to coerce someone into committing murder? My guess is it was a matter of life or death.
Care
In
to
a case like this,
explain?
it's probably greed.
Your troop lived in a world of showmanship. The flashier, the better. Unless you take it too far. And flashy so often means danger, doesn't it?
Let us make this as painless as possible.
Thank
Fuck
you,
off.
please. I don't want any more pain.
If you have proof of this danger, then show it.
Well, you asked for it
Sure.
then.
Stage pistol. It's a gun. It's dangerous.
Take
Fires
that!
one real bullet. Why, that's one of ours.
And now it's here in the court record, one that I would have used in court if I still had my job.
Yeah,
Especially...
how are you still using the court record if you're not a lawyer anymore?
Force of
Yeah.
habit.
Yeah. A single bullet. One shot.
Yeah, we'll just ignore that detail and.
What are you suggesting?
That you're a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean. What do you think I'm suggesting?
Surely you suggest. We are magicians, Mr. Wright, not murderers.
I don't know. You were just accusing your pal Zach of being one.
Yeah.
I'm not crying murder, Mr. Valant.
I'm just crying about my badge.
Okay, Apollo, let it go. I'm crying something far more tragic.
Justice.
God,
It's a
no.
cry for
That's my
justice.
name.
An accident. Bit of a clumsy one, but an accident nonetheless.
Grr.
That guy's one of them.
Zach and Valence quick draw shoot him.
Thank God you don't mean the audience.
How long has it been since those shots were last heard?
Was the shoot 'em cancelled because someone might get hurt?
No, it was cancelled because someone was killed.
So someone did get
course.
hurt.
Whatever reason could there be?
Maybe
Then why did you do it
somebody...
in the first place?
Maybe somebody got hurt. Well, it could have been canceled because someone had already been hurt.
There you go.
Or worse.
How do you get worse than hurt?
Killed.
Fascinating, my Faustian fortune.
Oh, no. We are not
No.
going there now.
But tell me, what can you prove with a single pistol?
You'd be surprised about what I
Besides,
can
there's no
prove.
bullet, and as we've proven multiple times, it doesn't exist.
No, Phoenix. Why don't you try this tactic? Killer say what?
Tell me what would have been Tell me what would have happened if there had been an accident. What if one of your bullets took a life on stage?
If Phoenix did that, he could have wrapped up his trials in 5 minutes.
Performance of magic is not concerned with what ifs.
Unless the killer caught on to it.
It's concerned with precision.
Yeah. Thank goodness it doesn't use a 6-axis mechanic. That would suck now, wouldn't it?
Precisely whom do you claim we shot?
The sheriff?
Maybe that's why Gumsy's not in this series. He was killed off screen.
Jesus.
Looks like I've chosen the right path. But Dwibs, that was years before the trial, so how was Gumshoe there?
It was his twin brother.
Also
that
named Dick Gumshoe.
That explains why he's a bit out of character.
And how does that explain Investigations 2 then?
Edgeworth was hallucinating him.
Wow, that... You know, that might actually explain it now that I think about it.
But that's...
Oh yeah. It is that indeed. That which I hold in my hand, Zach Gramarye's wife, and Trucy's mother.
You're holding my dead wife's corpse in your hand, you bastard!
Oh god, that would be quite a twist. Thalassa, I believe was her name.
Oh,
Is he speaking Aramaic? Alakazam.
But how can you say that, this?
I can say it because I've made you jump at least twice.
How can you say she was struck by one of our bullets?
Oh, let's see. Ballistic markings, records.
People who sort of say what the fuck.
Still in denial mode, eh? To be fair, that doesn't roll off the tongue as quickly.
Yeah.
Thalassa was at the greatest risk of being shot.
Except the other guy doing the other shooting.
And this clearly shows how much danger she was in.
The syringe?
No, the commemorative stamp. Remember, it's got the
Take
others on it
that!
as well.
Troop Gramarye's performances were very, very popular.
Fortunately, this is before we had anime cutscenes, so we can't see him exactly.
Aww. Shame they
Too
didn't
bad.
do one of those CGI cutscenes like the ones for the Silence
Serenade.
Ballad.
No.
That reminds
Yes,
me,
I'm
there's
pretty
a
sure that
that reminds me, there's actually a
The latest craze. We were an age, golden age.
Maybe they could do something akin to what Chrono Trigger on the PS1 they did. They could have some animated scenes in a possible remaster
that reminds
where
me.
where they insert
then
animated
upload
cutscenes in some of the key scenes.
That reminds me, I've actually found out that there's an official vocal version of the Serenade's ballad, and it actually sounds pretty good. Better than, you know, the DS sound chip makes it sound.
Too bad I don't like the lyrics.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, the lyrics actually sound good when sung out. It's weird, you might have to hear it to believe it.
Press X to doubt.
Don't you mean press X to be a really bad cop, because holy cow.
Press X to be bad cop.
I mean, seriously though, pressing X, I think I'm just doubting. No, I'm actually getting up in that woman's face and calling her a liar and everything. Holy cow.
Speaking of which, I don't know. I'm gonna go full. I forgot his name.
A part of his memory is
yeah.
still locked up. It's a chain of memories.
Christopher Walken, yes.
I don't know.
Oh god, it's a chain of memories I'm dealing with here.
There is one thing you're failing to address.
Just what were they thinking with that plot? And what's that?
As you say, our truth was a word unto itself.
True.
Our leader, Magnify, was so inclined, he could hide anything he wished with ease. But Mr. Wright...
I
You
see
see
another
so many
puzzlement
books
in my sight.
that he wouldn't have hid a crime, making him an accomplice.
Well, if he was as much a jerk, if more than Zack was, I don't see why that would stop him.
Not a great foundation for blackmail.
Oh, that's a good point. Valant's got a point. If one of the troop members died in an accident, and Magnify covered it up, his innocence would come into question.
I didn't do it, I swear.
Found the right address, Mr. Wright?
Address, that's it!
Yes, you're guilty at gmail.com.
On the
Oh.
account of villainy.
I'm so close.
Yeah, that's what the account's called, villainy.
There has to be something. Think
Hello, I am Valant Gramarye. I am welcome to my criminal account.
about how Velas's death could affect Zack and Valant's relationship with Magnify.
I see in your eyes. You still have something to say. How can you possibly prove more than you already have?
Have you seen what I can do as a lawyer? I'll prove why Velas's accident tied your hands so completely. With a person. It's going to take a little knowledge of the players to crack this one. Wink, wink.
Again with the weird fourfold break.
This
You
game
don't
in
tip-
particular does it. The accidental death of Zack's wife tied both your hands. And this information proves why Magnify held so much power over you.
It's because of a fall.
Take that! It wasn't a question of who shot Velasa. Velasa herself was the problem.
Hmm?
What, did she shoot herself?
Jesus. What do you mean?
There's a hint of tragedy hidden within here, and I'm gonna expose it. She was Zack Gramarye's wife, Trucy's mother. But most importantly,
My aunt.
Magnify Gramarye's only daughter. You may not have taken too kindly to his daughter being shot up.
Who would? Hello, so you shot me. I am terribly disappointed in you.
There was a terrible accident. One that I don't think is fixable. And the two of you killed your mentor's only daughter.
It was a combined thing?
Well, we have no idea who shot her. If that wasn't the key to Magnify's power over you, I don't know what was.
It was...
And
It
Alec-
was-
It was an accident!
Well, that's an interesting breakdown.
Close your mouth, please.
With bunnies.
Okay, let's talk blackmail.
There's no proof. Not at all.
Present evidence.
I think I've done my fair share.
Confiscated that stick from him.
But Philosopher went missing. It's okay, he can only hurt you with it.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Well, then you should have taken away from him when you had the chance. You're on your own over there. And your mentor blackmailed both of his disciples. It doesn't take a genius to put one and one together.
Don't be silly, Mr. Knight. Everyone knows that 1 and 1 is 3. Oh, fuck.
I rest my case.
Ours was a complex family.
Sounds like it.
Show business is.
Yeah, this reminds me, we barely hear the Apollo Justice's version of the
Jail
in
theme.
prison theme.
Which is a shame because it's actually my favorite detention
Master
center theme.
Magnify Grammar is only the... Surprisingly enough, I kind of like all of the jailed theme. I don't know. I know it sounds very wrong.
The
That
only
one
one
is from the original game, though.
Oh, I
The only one
like
can
them all
barely-
too.
The only one I can barely remember is the one from the 3rd game.
I like that one too, though that one does play
the,
at least.
the major feeling that I get is that they progressively get darker with each game, more somber, more booming. I kind of like that.
I guess 5
Yeah, this
kind of.
one's the most intense of the bunch, I think.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it
this
also-
technically isn't a detention center theme, but I see what you mean.
Yeah, but that also was an accident. Zack and Valant's tour de force.
And Philosopher, who cares about her?
Guns blaze, the bullets fly, straight toward that beautiful body on stage.
Not to get a single mark hit.
Then crash, zing, pow, into everything but air. Now that is magic.
Or it's luck, but hey, it's magic.
It happened one day when we were practicing. Same trick with a new twist.
Hey, Jovo, I wonder who this Philosopher is. Do you?
I don't know. She seems familiar.
And tragedy.
So what was the spin on the trick, you're probably wondering?
What the fuck? But as for whose bullets stole Thalassa's wife...
Life, you mean?
Wife.
Sounds like you said wife.
No. We shall never know the answer.
And the reason for
That's-
that is...
That's
You see,
bullshit.
allow me to quote The Simpsons. You'll never get an answer for this ever. Ha ha!
Actually,
That
there
could-
is kind of a
Very
reason for
little
that.
his wife. Trucy lost her mother.
Of course she
I
did.
lost my friend.
My parents are dead. Go ahead, Shiro.
And Magnify.
No,
no,
that's
no, no,
Oh
No,
god.
no.
Wait, I'm very
Say
confused. Sorry.
in Trucy's voice. My parents are dead.
My parents are dead.
There you go.
There you go. See.
No parcel of darkness that comes when the curtain falls. So, I'm sorry, what was the new trick that was implemented that spelled Thalassa's
The
Find
death?
out then.
darkness.
I believe we are about to find out. If not
Okay.
here, then we eventually find out in a later part. I thought they were going to say it there and then, but I guess they say it at a later point. Let's see it. It was his own daughter who died.
I'm just waiting for when they reveal the other plot twist, but
Everybody died.
everyone died. Yes, that's
The
the plot
entire,
twist.
All I
entire
can say
game was
is
a
it
computer
was a critical
simulation.
time for Troop Gramarye. See what I mean about joyless story? Passing of the torch from Magnify to Zack and Valant.
I mean, okay, tragedy is nothing new to Ace Attorney, but I see what you mean, and like, well, it's more noticeable
I
here because we
honestly
don't have as
think,
much joy to balance
I
it
honestly
out.
think this is hitting what Dwibs mentioned in here, the darkness induce audience apathy button.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can have good stories that are tragic, see Hunchback of Notre Dame, and then there's this.
Again. Ace Attorney games have had buttloads of tragedy within them. The difference is that we've had uplifting stuff to counteract it, you know.
It's
You know
not just
when-
that, Joe. but,
Sorry.
Stuff like the Godfather movies, the first two at least, to show that you can have a story that's mostly serious and on a more sad tone and not really have little to no comedy and still work as long as you tell an interesting story that justifies a tone like that.
Godfather
But
also
This Attorney has never been that kind of story at all.
That's the thing, it's like, well, Ace Attorney has been a story that definitely pummels you with a lot of tragedy, but your reward is the upcoming victory. And sure, while we do still get that victory at the end of this game, because obviously so, it does feel like there's a lot less balance to it.
But anyway, point is that both Zack and Valant basically ended up being blackmailed by Magnify because of emotional weight.
Emotion.
But do you not find cowardice in his actions?
Oh, heck yeah, I do.
Absolutely.
I told you guys.
You see-
I told you guys. The ill guy in the bed was the one that was worse than.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to hide the truth of his own daughter's death. One thing.
You see, Mr. Teo, the reason you cannot find any joy in this is because there are no
No.
polygons.
No,
But
we're
then
not
to hang
going
the
there.
death is a guillotine above our heads.
Yeah, this is why I think Magnify's worse than.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, Zack has some very, 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 very few redeeming qualities. Magnify don't even have that.
But you see, Teo, comedy is the failure of the game designer.
Anyway,
Totally.
does Trucy know?
Well, there's a balance. I mean, if you go too far, you end up with.
She was not told, naturally.
Fair fence, Rev?
Yeah.
I think
Trucy would have been much too young to understand this at that point.
Who would want to know that their father might have taken their mother's life?
Oh yeah, that sounds pretty screwed up enough. Almost as screwed up enough in an alternate universe where your mother turns into a psychopathic killer and your father turns into a deranged,
I
gun-happy
had not followed
vigilante.
that accident for a very long time.
Did you read that in a fanfic, Jova?
No. That's just Flashpoint Batman in a nutshell. Basically, in that alternate universe, Bruce is the one who gets shot, and his mom becomes the Joker while his father becomes a gun-happy Batman.
Yeah.
Joe, but just your entire thing just reminded me of hold on, this is important.
Yeah,
Not to find Magnify's layer.
Go ahead.
true.
It's Ace Attorney. If there's something that isn't important, either it's just for a comedy, or if it's just, well...
Sure,
Investigating
sure.
random stuff.
After that accident. There was one who came sniffing quite persistently.
Oh?
Your pet dog.
No.
A reporter?
Oh, I think I know what he's talking about. He called himself a newsman at the time.
Back when people were reading newspapers more often.
Often I spied him lurking about the dressing room, doing his research.
He's making your life a living hell, isn't he?
Pretty much.
Would you happen to remember his name?
I really wonder who he's talking about. What was his name? Sorry, I have forgotten.
Let's remember what he did in the present to the card of, the reporter.
But in the course of his interviewing, he became quite close to my partner, Zach.
And notice how so certain someone was with Zach in the future at the Borscht Bowl Club.
I liked him not.
Polite way of saying I hate him. I see.
His name, I do not recall, but his scent, glowing aroma of mint.
Sounds like he brushed his teeth a lot.
Yes. Whenever he smiled, which was far too often.
Rumor has it, he's brushed his teeth so much it causes a spark.
Huh. What is he, the Joker?
It does no good to interfere with the past, Mr. Wright.
Fine, I'll just mess
Mr.
with the
Wright, isn't that what
future
we're
then.
doing? Isn't that what we're doing?
Shh! Be
You will
quiet,
not
Apollo!
uncover
You're
answers.
supposed to be
The
quiet!
wounds.
Aren't I supposed to be 15 at this point?
Yes, you are. In fact, what are you doing here? I thought I left you back in the future.
I really wanted to be in my own game.
Whatever. Anyway, I had begun to notice a dark curtain hanging over Troop Gramarye,
Gee, you think?
Dan?
Why is everyone being so melodramatic?
and I began to realize what I had to do.
Seriously, I might as well have ended this part with the EastEnders thing.
I know what must be.
I had to protect Trucy from that darkness, even if it would take me
So
7
great.
years!
What do you hope to accomplish?
The reporter he mentioned.
Don't you see Ace
Well, never
Attorney
mentioning it,
is...
so.
Light?
Ace Attorney is light?
The newsman. I never learned who that was.
Dual Destinies is
at the
light.
time. Which is funny because Dual Destinies is the one that constantly talks about how there's a dark age of the law.
Yeah, I was like, hey, Gabe, I get it. Shut up.
It's dark.
It's rated M because we got cutscenes with actual blood animated, yo.
One.
That
But
smile.
to be
Well,
fair, there was
Yes,
a lot of blood.
The SRB is quirky, Dwibs.
Yeah, which is weird because despite being M-rated, Dual Destinies is one of the more lighter tone games, if ever you ask me.
The rating systems in America can be quite dodgy. Remember, this Hunchback of Notre Dame got rated G. How the hell that movie got rated G is beyond me.
And
I'm
It
also
would be odd.
pretty sure that in
And-
the UK, Dual Destinies is a 12, I think.
And can you
I
remember
think it's
Edgemere
16
Dwibs?
or 18.
Oh, we
I don't
completed
think
all
it's
the
not
events from
18.
7 years ago.
Yep.
So,
join
now-
us in the next part where we'll go back to the present day. Hey, we've unlocked all the stuff, which is nice. Let's get through this
Yeah.
game quicker. So, we'll continue our excursions through the Mason system. I have no idea what Mason stands for in the next part.
Something time travel.
It's the TARDIS, pretty much, yeah.
See you then.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.